So last night we had the first official trailer drop for Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon. I worked until about 3 AM to get that trailer covered and broken down for you all, and little did I know, an even better, even more important, even more zany trailer had dropped concurrently. Just as I was jumping into bed, people started slamming me with comments, cover the Animaniacs trailer's ready, you do a video. And I said, listen up you punks, it's 3 AM, I'm going to bed and I'll cover this in the morning. And guess what, it's now morning, so let's do it. Warner Brothers have officially dropped the very first trailer for the upcoming Animaniacs reboot, and boy does this look like an absolute ride. We've got old favourites, new favourites, more old favourites, and some even other old favourites who were there for who knows what reason, but I'm freaking out about it. I'll be breaking down all of this and so much more right here. Yikes, excited much? Before we get into this, don't forget to hit that like button, it does wonders in getting my content out there, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and bell icon to keep up to date with all my content like this in future. I promise you, there's some good stuff on the way, mostly. As with all things, it's probably best to start at the start, more specifically in the deep black void of space, where we find Yakko delivering a deep and meaningful soliloquy about the danger of reboots, calling them
symptomatic of a fundamental lack of originality in Hollywood.
Just as Dot calls out the Hollywood sellouts, a check for $100 billion is shoved in their face, which they of course graciously accept. This is absolutely the single best way to start this trailer and our first in-depth look into the new series. Of course, the original Animaniacs were always meta, self-referential, and self-deprecating, all elements we've been hoping would translate across into this new revival. What's wonderful here is that this show and its characters are so aware of the fact that this is something that purely exists for nostalgic reasons, and takes the opportunity to take the absolute mickey out of it and reboots in general by being one itself. By mocking itself and reflecting such a common opinion on these kinds of shows right off the bat, this already has both sides of the audience on its side. Those who are excited and those who are a little bit more pessimistic. It's such a totally perfect Animaniacs thing to do. We then see our characters quite literally rising from the grave and instantly being met with modern culture. This forms a very large portion of this trailer. The Animaniacs learning about and learning to live alongside a world and a culture that is so different from the one they left behind more than 20 years ago. There's a small sequence where they discuss the best way to start their new show by workshopping their first lines, in a sequence that we've previously seen snippets of in animatic form. There's a bit of tete-a-tete before Dot delivers the absolute best, most Animaniacs line possible.
22 years later and I'm still a knockout.
And so the show begins. There's references here to iPads and the wealth of information that can be found on the internet as Yakko swallows an iPad to gain all human knowledge, learning really nothing useful at all.
Quantum mechanics, quinoa wraps, Queen Bey. We've missed so much.
This is a wonderful satire on the wealth of important and also shallow information that floods us every single day on the internet. There's even references to modern buzzwords like mansplaining. In our very first look at Pinky and the Brain, Pinky bemoans his online dating woes, finding himself constantly catfished by literal catfish, while the Brain looks on in utter disgust. We later in the trailer also get to see the pair coming to terms with social media and the wave of instant gratification we all get from it. Pinky, of course, embraces it, while the Brain is a little bit more pessimistic. They additionally find themselves scheming to take over the world before having their schemes, as usual, absolutely destroyed by outside forces. There's a great reference to foam parties here too, which is such a great throwback to not only 1990s party culture, but modern party culture as well. While we're on the topic of foam parties, guys, please let me impart some wisdom. Never ever go to one. The foam gets in your eyes and absolutely destroys you for days. One of my friends, in fact, got such an insanely bad eye infection at one that he was literally walking around with an eye patch for months. It was pretty funny, but also not funny at the same time. He looked like a pirate, which was funny, but the infection really wasn't funny at all. He could have gone blind. He didn't. He's fine now. That was a really long time ago. Wait, hang on, where was I? Oh, that's right. Again, this is such an insanely perfect setup for this new reboot. It takes these beloved characters and uses them and their ignorance of the 21st century as a beautiful launching pad that's going to so wonderfully poke the finger and make fun of modern society and culture through the eyes of people who missed it all, in a way that really only the Animaniacs know how. And I mean also Austin Powers, because Austin Powers went there before, but this is more modern and relevant to us, damn it! Not only have the Animaniacs' personalities and chemistry come back in absolute spades, but Pinky and the Brain are absolutely back on form as well. Not only are there great references to modern culture, but some great 90s culture throwbacks too. Of course, there's the foam party thing. Seriously guys, do not go to one. And there's also a fantastic little throwback to 90s neon-infused raves, and even some references to 90s pop culture. There is a literal Super Nintendo console in this shot, and a basketball hoop up on the wall. You don't get much more 90s than this. Also, this sequence in particular is throwing off total Mission Impossible and Entrapment vibes, two iconic 90s flicks. Again, this continues to show that not only will the show poke the stick at modern pop culture, but won't be afraid to riff on classic culture as well. We saw this previously with last week's Jurassic Park clip, and we're seeing it again here. I said then and I'll say it again, how many shows are so willing to reference classic movies on such an extravagant level these days? The Animaniacs, who likewise in the 90s were game enough to riff on films from the 20s through 40s, are again absolutely back on form. It's really quite clear that the humour here is aimed at millennials like me and Gen X generations that grew up with the original show. So many times these programs say they aim to appeal to the older audiences and then just never follow through with it. If this trailer alone is anything to go by, yes! This show will appear to the newer Gen Z lot, but it's mainly focused on an older audience who are up for some quick nostalgia and scrumptious meta gags and references. The rest of the trailer is an absolute smorgasbord of exciting sequences which see the Animaniacs off on irreverent, fantastically infused adventures, just like those in the original show. There's some great cameos here as well, with a couple of Hanna-Barbera and Looney Tunes characters popping up here for who knows what reason. There's of course Huckleberry Hound, Yaki Doodle, Yogi Bear and Boo Boo from Hanna-Barbera, and Henry Hawk from the Looney Tunes of all characters. There's even a super creepy, off-the-rails, hobo, meth addict-looking Donald Duck, and a bizarre, sexually charged Mario, Luigi, Waluigi hybrid over here. And wait a minute, is this a Lunatics Unleashed version of Animaniacs? Take my damn money right now! The trailer even manages to bring in a bloody Donald Trump reference, depicting him as a huge, one-eyed, orange monster with a terrible tan job. Now, I'm not always one for blatant political statements in cartoons and television shows and movies for absolutely no reason, but if anyone can pull it off with wit and charm, it's the Animaniacs for sure. I really could go on all day, but this video is far too long as it is. Bottom line, I'm absolutely, completely sold on this series right now. It's got everything we want from this series and so much more, and it's great to see no punches are being held, for now anyway. And wait, what's that? 2 seasons officially announced? Yeah, boy! If you'd like to keep up to date with all the biggest cartoon news, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more regular installments like this. And if you're keen on diving deep into the history of all your favourite animated characters, don't forget to check out my continuing Cartoon Evolution series linked at the end of the video. And at that, it's over to you. Are you excited for the upcoming Animaniacs reboot, or are you still sitting on the fence? If you are wrong, because this is going to be the best series ever. But seriously, if this doesn't do it for you, that's totally fine. That's your opinion, and all opinions are welcome. But if you don't like the Animaniacs, get out. But seriously, it's all good. Just let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I promise I won't be a jerk to you. I mean, it could be a shallow promise, but I'll try my best. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.